would you like to introduce yourself, your horse, and what your equine goal is?
I'm Beth Fowler. That's my horse, Timber. She's just a little more reactive than I want her to be.
Gotcha. This is Miss Timber, and she's just a little bit more reactive. So we're going to try to get her a little bit less responsive, if you will. Think about this. This is how smart you have to be a horse trainer. Whatever the horse wants to do, you just do the opposite. If the horse doesn't like water, well, I guess we're taking him down to the lake. Horse doesn't like to be touched, I guess we're going to touch him. Horse doesn't like their back legs touched, I guess we're going to touch their back legs. If you do this for 30 days, you will have a very disciplined yes sir, yes ma'am type of horse. So she's sensitive and obviously different than the other one. So where do you think we're going to start with her? Absolutely, absolutely. Just kindergarten. It just doesn't matter. We're starting in kindergarten. And what you'll find is that the more sensitive a horse is, the louder that I'll be. The reason being, sensitive horses have a tendency to make people want to be quiet around them. If you're careful around the horse, you're creating a horse that you'll always have to be careful around. So we want the opposite of that. The next thing is a sensitive horse will make you have to try to be so gentle with the steering wheel, with the gas and the braking. You always think it's your fault. I gave too much, I asked too much. If that's how you feel, you need to do more from the ground so they'll be more forgiving. Can you imagine having a horse that is sensitive? Oh, I can't let anybody else ride them. Why not? Well, if anybody else rides them, she'll pop. That's ridiculous. That horse should be able to say yes sir, yes ma'am, and be polite with anybody. Well, how do we do that? We be ridiculous so she can handle that. So if the person's a little off balance, or a person does grab with the leg, or touch them with a spur, touch them with the they're just okay, that they're not going to lose their marbles. And you do that simply by more energy. Get louder. Don't be afraid to grab a hold of them, put some pressure on them, and back them up. Obviously, this horse can back, so you just want to go right to that red line. What I mean by that is, if a horse can't back at all we're looking to get is the horse backing up. If a horse can back up at 2 miles per hour, we just want 3. We just want more. It's the American dream. The thing about asking for more, the thing about pushing to that limit what they can and can't do, is you start seeing them with pressure on them, you start seeing them uncomfortable. That reveals so much more about a person, an animal, a horse. You want to see who she really is? Make her uncomfortable. If we do our very best, and I was raised as a kid in a show ring, my father being my trainer, I was raised on horses that you had to know how to hold your breath, you knew how to sit off center, whatever it took to make that horse feel comfortable, carry a hand 2 inches off center, whatever it took to make that horse look broke to get the blue ribbon. Well, as a clinician, I do the opposite. I want to see who you really are, so I'm pretty good about pissing horses off. But that's when you see their true colors. That's when you see who they are, when there's a little pressure put on them. So that's whenever you see me get a horse like this and I ask her to back a little faster, and I'll ask that past gelding. Well, she's more sensitive. So I want to see who she is. Good girl. We have her backing up. The next thing we're going to do, ask her to go to first grade. So you'll notice when she gets uncomfortable, what does her head go? Straight up, straight in the center. I touch her face, she acts as if she has a broomstick that she's hiding from us. From the tip of her tail to the tip of her nose is a straight line. Let me tell you a secret, that's not awesome. The reason being, we have a sensitive horse, and also on top of that, she doesn't have a steering wheel. Not cool. So we saw that wasn't getting us far. We are dead set about the results that we want, but we're very flexible about our approach. So right there, 20 seconds in, we saw she wasn't getting the message. If anything, she was trying to shut down on us. So we're gonna do something called the whirly bird. I'm gonna grab her by the butt. I'm gonna ask her to walk a circle around me. girl. So I hold onto this breast collar, I follow her eye. Notice her turning to the right, her giving her face directly correlates with her explosiveness level going down. The softer she gets in the face, directly correlates to her moving more relaxed. When she was just being a little explosive right there, her nose was straight up in the air, her head was high. Step by step, bend by bend, give by give. The more she gives her face, the slower her reactions will be. Watch her head already starting to drop. Whenever you get a horse like this and you're gonna throw that rope over their butt, have their face, have that rein. When I first saw a video of Ray Hunt throwing a rope over a colt's butt and spinning him around, I said, oh my gosh, that's awesome, I'm gonna go do that. I went home and tried to do that on a Paso colt. I threw the rope over his butt, he hopped forward 6 feet and put 2 feet right in my chest. I was like, oh, all horses ain't built the same. So I started adjusting. Life is all about adjustments. One of the things that you'll see differ from the early days of them doing that to what I'm doing, I want reps. I want as many reps as possible. In a short amount of time, how many reps can I get in? You want a crazy difference in a short amount of time, get more reps than anybody else is getting. What is a rep? Every time that she gives to that halter and takes another step, that's a rep. Every time that she goes to find her own way out by exploding through the halter and ultimately gives her face and steps around, that's another rep. So old school of just throwing it over their butt and spinning out, over the course of 10 minutes, you know, you get 10 or 12 reps. I'm gonna get 50, 80, 100 reps because I'm just going circle after give, and they're finding that release through moving through it. So if she absolutely exploded to the point that I couldn't hold on, I just hold on to the lead rope, let go of the reins, she'll spin out of it, we'll do it again. If I have any chance of holding on to her, I'm gonna try to, because I want her to find that release inside my reins, inside my halter. Get her head bending right there, very nice. Stay outside the shoulder so she can't strike or bite me. I have her face so she can't spin and kick me. Awesome. All right, now watch this. We'll try to switch directions. switch. So we're just looking to get left, right, and then we're looking for her to stay soft even when something makes her uncomfortable. So to this point, every time she gets uncomfortable, she's looking to find her own way through the bridle. Well, when that wasn't working from the ground, just simply touching on her shoulder and telling her to look at us, no problem. We wrapped that rope around her butt. She has a big old fanny, so she's not willing to pull on herself to let loose. So just every single time that she throws her head, the most perfect timing imaginable, because she's basically tied to herself. She feels it on herself. It's not like I have to catch her or do anything. I just stand stationary and stoic and let her figure it out on her own. Already getting less fussy for her ears. Every now and then you'll see me bump her with a leg, reach out and touch the saddle. All that's just preparing her to be uncomfortable. There we go, that's soft, that's better. There we go. See, no reason to be fussy. Just because you're a chestnut mare, you don't have to act like one. You're only a little chestnut.
Back to that at home, you know, she lets me, but
right?
bring it to another area, so I'm super excited about that.
She's not the only one. You're not the only one that's excited.
Good girl. So if they start getting defensive from the front, pull them around to the side. Again, if she's gonna get marish and want to strike or bite, me being off center keeps me safer, and more importantly, it keeps me more persistent. So many times when your brain says, hey, you're in the danger zone, it's very hard to be consistent when your brain's saying, hey, watch out, hey, watch out. So we want to get that horse where we're never in the right place for them to do anything with us. We're never in the right place for them to strike. We're never in the right place for them to bite. They always seem a little out of position. That's what we're looking for.
And I'm short, so sorry.
No worries.
I don't have Carol Ann's legs.
So first things first, we're gonna start desensitizing with the rope. Woohoo. So why are we pushing so much to make her uncomfortable on the ground? We want her to figure out what the repercussion is. We want her to figure out right from wrong on the ground. There's a few times there that she pulled on her butt that would have been really hard to hold that under saddle. Like if it wasn't for being tied to a big old hiney like hers, we would have had a hard time holding her face. But since the rope was bound around her butt, well then that shut her down. If you don't find that out and you just assume and swing the leg over, you're gonna have a hard time with that. Because ultimately when you get on her back, you're just a torso with arms. You don't want to be a torso with arms. Yeah, yeah. So why do you put a hand in her face? You change directions, she pretends like you're not there, like she's gonna come right over top of you. Don't be afraid to be handsy. Don't be afraid to put your palm right up towards their face so they want to shy away. A horse multiple times shouldn't just come right through your hand towards your face. So the more that you do that, the softer and easier they get. Mm-hmm. Huh? That's true. So spurs are for direction and collection. If we're still bronc riding, I'm not looking to get a better score bronc riding, I'm looking to get a worse score. First things first, let's show this a little stiff right there. So I'm gonna actually reach up here and clip the reins 1 knot higher. That's gonna give me a little bit more leverage, a little bit more torque. So when I pull there, that's what I want. I want her head coming my way whenever I ask. Notice when we go from side to side, she wants to stick her nose up in the air. I really don't want her to do that. Really like for her to leave her nose down. Right there, you see her like looking for her own way out. Maybe you are right. All right, stirrups are a little short. Come over here to number.
Pardon me?
Go down to 2. Number 10 showing. Oh, you don't got to do that. Oh, I think they were uneven. Maybe. It's pretty common.
Well, I bought it used, so I got nothing.
Gotcha. Thank you, ma'am. Better, better. So we need her face and her butt to loosen up. Whenever you touch her face, it wants to shut her feet down. Well, we know bucking is stopping. Every time I look for her butt, slide my hand down the reins, pull there, look for her butt. Pull there, look for her butt. And I'm looking for a certain feel that her face and her butt give, and that no matter what she's thinking or what goes through her mind, that she's looking to give there. Do you have a little dressage whip? Probably not. No, that's a stick. Yeah. Well, like a, maybe. I bet she does. Yeah, that can work. Great. That's a stick, that's not a whip. So what we're looking for here is we just want to be able to reach right over here and touch her butt. And you see the reason that stick is no good because it has no pop. So she's like, I don't care. Oh, that's adorable. Gotcha, gotcha. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, something with a little bazinga. You say, Mike, why would you whip a horse that likes to buck? Bucking is stopping. Bucking is stopping, and there's a lot of stop going on here. How you gonna be so sensitive? Be so sensitive, but also not move your feet. Pick one or the other, okay? We'll take one of your crazies. We don't. Yeah. Thank you, man. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So one thing you won't see, if I can successfully move her butt and cross her back feet up, you won't see her bucking with her back feet crossing like that. So watch her back feet. Now, why does she get 22 crops? Because 2 crops didn't move her. So it's less about power. The stick over there has more power, like more if I'm gonna go assault a bear, I prefer the stick than the crop. But with a horse, it's all about persistence. So we're looking to be able to start moving this crop. There we go. And move that butt away from us. There we go. That's the respect that a sensitive horse should have. She shouldn't want to put her shoulder on me as she passes by. Good girl. That's a good girl. So, the thinking here is, if they move in their butt, they're not bucking. Bucking is pushing and catching, pushing and catching. Pushing with that back end, catching with that front end. So if we can get, every time we pick up this rein, she is trying to move her butt away from us. That's the opposite of bucking. Now we're disengaging. Got her face here. There we go. The other thing, she's sticky in the face. She's sticky in the face. If every time I touch her face, she stops thinking about her face and thinks about her butt, well, now she's gonna get softer in the face, absolutely. There we go. Good girl. Look at every time I look over my shoulder now, she's thinking about giving her butt. Look over my shoulder, look at her butt. Oh my gosh, you found your butt, honey, good job. Right? Well, it's like everything. If the repercussion doesn't fit her urge, basically we want to go one step further than what she's willing to go. And it's not about the power. I mean, this foot doesn't even have a popper on it. It's about how persistent, like the Chihuahua effect. How many homes don't get broke into because there's Chihuahua living in there? So the guy with the ski mask on comes window to window, seeing where he's going to break in, who's not home. And he goes to one house and there's a Chihuahua in there and they go, oh, you know what? Let's try the next house. They know they're not in mortal danger. They know the Chihuahua is not going to eat them alive and they're going to find them, you know, in Chihuahua poop. That's not the case. It's the fact it's too much to deal with. Well, it's the same thing with her. I can't outpower her. I can't outstrong her, but I can outpersist her. And if I could do it real quick like, she's going to stop moving so quick. She's going to stop being so explosive because we're unlocking the brakes. The reason she feels so explosive is we're mashing the gas to get her to go, but the emergency brake is still on. That's what she feels like to me. How can you be this little squatty and this athletic and not be able to move your feet? Well, it's quite simple. We figured out what's going on. The brakes are still locked up. So you keep mashing on the gas, something bad's gonna happen. Okay, either you're gonna lose your brakes or it's gonna pop. One of the two. Motor pops, which is bucking, or the brakes go out, and which is the runaway. But something's gonna happen. So instead of doing that, let's get the steering wheel better. We'll get the steering wheel better, get her face and her butt moving better, and then she's gonna be more willing to go forward when we ask her, because forward is gonna seem easy to her. So, come here again, move her butt. But there we go. That's a lot closer to what we want. Notice how I was pony kicking earlier like a little kid and she was just tuning me out. You pony kick a horse twice and they don't move, stop kicking them. You're effectively desensitizing them. You're effectively getting them worse. So notice, as long as she's moving forward and not getting to the end of my rope, not getting to the end of her leash. She's not getting touched. She's not really getting pressured. That body part. See how there's no argument in a straight line? Straight lines are freedom. Straight lines where I leave her alone. If I'm gonna make her uncomfortable, I want the ball in my court. So many folks will just hop on this horse and put the spurs to her, mark out, and see what happens. Well, I'll tell you what's gonna happen. If you make her uncomfortable enough, like I said, the brakes are either gonna give or the motor's gonna pop. And that way of thinking, that ideology, I see where they're coming from. Those guys are amateur bronc riders because that's their style of training. They're doing that every day. And the idea is to hold on and her not get a release from it. The problem is with that style, even if you are a great bronc rider, even great bronc riders all end up hurt. Even all great bronc riders end up on the ground. Can we agree with that? Greatest bronc rider of all time still ate dirt a lot of times. Okay. With that being said, there's too much opportunity for the horse to get a win, or we say win, the horse to get an idea of the wrong thing. You don't want that horse to buck. Don't let him get any practice. Don't practice. Every time you spook and you try to make your own decision, you're gonna get pulled left or right. Every time you get scared and run off to the right, you're gonna get pulled left. Every single time you get scared to the right and run off left, you're gonna get pulled right. Whatever you do, you're gonna get pulled the opposite. If that becomes so ingrained in them, they will spook at something and freeze and look at it because they know if they make a decision to turn and buck or to run off or do something, that they're gonna get redirected. And it's just so clear. I'm either grabbing your right rein or your left rein, honey, period. So I highly suggest when you feel that left rein come off of your neck, when you start feeling me slide down that reins, you can feel a fly land on your butt. You can feel my hand sliding down that rein. So at this point, I haven't effectively put any pressure. I expect her to get there before my hand closes. If I have to close my hand, that's when you'll see me go bonk, bonk. And what I'm looking to do is create friction on her face. So she says, oh, if he gets to the end of that line, I haven't gave yet, or worse, I look the other way out of resistance, he's gonna grab my face and he's gonna create friction. Very quickly, this pattern becomes so repeatable, this pattern becomes so predictable that the horse wants to go wherever you're looking. She wants to get there. So I switched from my right side to my left side. She already started bending this way. That is the opposite of the horse that came in here that was stiff as a board in a straight line. Now that we have her there, we're gonna start asking her to back up crooked and release. And release. And release.
Says, I can't hear you.
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. So unfortunately, the money that you guys paid to come, you would have got more entertainment value 3, 4, 5 years ago, but you would have got less teaching value. So here, something as simple as backing her up crooked, here experience tells me, wait for her to find it like that and release the second her feet move. I don't care what her head does. A few years ago, I would have tried to force that backwards and she would have popped because she wouldn't be able to hold it. Now, I just wait till her feet move and I'm a lot more patient. I'm a lot more patient on it, but I'm gonna get better results quicker. It's like right here. Move her butt. Move her face, ask her back up again. Good. Ask her back up again. And release. Good girl. So I want to be able to back her up and obviously her not take her face away from me. But I need to ask for one thing at a time. If I ask for both, she'll miss the release. So if I keep giving her face back every time she backs up, she's going to move her feet quicker, her face slower. There, you get it. The reason I do this stuff isn't romantic. What you want to see is you want to see your horse out there like an athlete, cantering, head down, spinning, sliding, doing all these things. This is the magic that gets you there. Like people send their horse from Washington State to Mississippi, from Massachusetts to the South, you know, from New York, New Jersey to us, and they think some kind of magic happens, you know, when they get to Mississippi. This is the magic that happens. We find their resistance. Once we find it, we start picking on it until it doesn't exist. Give her a little moment to process that and soak on it. You get her where she will not touch your reins and she will not be a problem. But as long as she's willing to get upset, do whatever, get wonky, and she's willing to just blast right through it, well, she's going to continue to be a horse that you have a hard time with, because she thinks anytime that she doesn't feel like it or anytime you upset her, or she can just do what she wants. And it goes right down to that obedience, and she doesn't have much of that obedience. So I lower that halter just a hair, get a little bit more leverage. Good girl. Good girl. Another thing you want to think. She wants to argue about going forward. So why are we going to argue with her to go forward? If you don't want to go forward, we'll work on everything else so that forward seems like freedom. And it'll become your idea to go forward. Look how every time we get done backing, she wants to walk off. So that's the opposite of me kicking her, asking her to go. She's like, oh, just let me walk off. Oh, just let me go somewhere. So much easier. Okay. Well, we'll keep working on that. Lower this hand down below my knee, because I want, even if she throws her head, that ultimately her head comes back to the right. Good girl. Look how right there, just that one little step, and I release the outside rein completely. Good. Because now she's not throwing her head the opposite way that I'm holding her. Just like having that rope around her butt, the more times that she tries to go through this bridle and ultimately gives. Good girl. Good girl. The softer and more pliable she's going to be. What do you notice about her head too? Her head's coming down every time we get her to bend, anytime we get her to back. Look how much more she's sweating than the last horse, and the last horse did a lot more work, like actually went somewhere more. All that is is her thinking. All that's in her head. Oh. When you get yourself in a position where you can pressure a horse just with your finger, just with your hand, and you're not using your whole body, your timing is going to get so much better. If you're arm stronging or you're kicking and you're bringing your legs this high, the odds of you not getting that next kick and having great timing are very slim. But if I get in a position with that crop, I put the crop in this finger, and when she wouldn't move, I could stop that at a moment's notice. Well, here, watch her back up. Watch my outside hand. Oh. Let her know that we stopped by taking my heels off, sitting back. Bump, 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 bump. Release. You see the timing there? I mean, she just even think about leaning back. She's getting a release. Because I'm trying to show her how to guide inside these reins. I'm trying to show her how to give to that pressure and let me guide her where I want her to go. And at the end of the day, that I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just trying to guide you. Now, if you look to go somewhere outside of where I'm guiding you, it might get uncomfortable. There we go. Your butt gets close to the fence, just let go of that outside rein.
Can you talk about the difference of having this conversation with the halter versus
The difference between having this conversation with a halter versus a bit, depending on what bit you have, you might not have any friction. You have anything that's real smooth, stainless steel,
I ride her in a
and chain snaffle. Gotcha. So if there's no friction there and it's real bendy and real foldy, you might actually be getting more repercussion with this halter. The other thing, if I'm gonna have to pull and grab and manually override the horse, I find it kinder to do it on their face. If I had an option of where somebody was gonna manually override me and I had outside my face or inside my mouth, outside my face would definitely be my option.
I'll admit, she's not this resistant with bridle. I've never ridden her before.
Gotcha. Now, when we talk about being resistant or being sticky or doesn't want to give, say she's more resistant with this. If her brakes were unlocked and she was like willing to go somewhere, that really wouldn't affect one wouldn't really affect the other. You see what I mean? Like even if she has more respect for the bridle, what you're saying is, oh, you can grab more of her because you have more leverage or more. It should be more sensitive to the inside of her mouth, but that wouldn't really affect the way that I hop on, and it feels like the brakes are.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when you drive down the road and you feel like, man, something's just not right with this car. That's exactly what you feel. Now I'm starting to feel it free up, and when I walk off, that we're just going somewhere. Same thing here. Grab her face, move her butt. So when you get those horses that are buck risk, you want to do what they call riding the eye. Well, riding the eye only works if you can send them back out. What that's going to do is, you riding that horse around like this where they're off center, it doesn't make them feel in control to just bury their head in between their legs and give it to you. So it makes you feel confident that you can start cropping or pushing or asking. When she starts stepping in, notice how I'll still point her this way. I just won't give up this inside rein. So I'll steer her to the right. I'll steer her to the right, even though I have her nose pointed to the left. Oh. So does this idea of riding the eye make sense to you guys? If you say, hey, look, I don't care if we go anywhere, I don't care if we develop any real speed, until you give me the steering wheel, we're not gonna go anywhere, I'm just gonna keep picking on you. When you give me the steering wheel, I'm gonna leave you alone. You know you want me to leave you alone. So that consists of extending that arm. Notice how everybody, when the horse has a bucking problem from the ground or spooking from the ground, what do? They put a line on them, and no matter how you spin it or say it or do it, you stand in the middle, you hold on for dear life, they face you, it shuts them down. And no matter what walk of life you come from, that's more or less the idea, give or take, right? Well, then why would our ideology change once we got in the saddle? If we know from the ground the easiest way to get that horse, when you put a saddle on, they start bucking, is to pull them around and pull them around until they give. Why would under saddle we start trying to go in a straight line where they're strong? So I just want to do the exact same thing to her under saddle. I want to carry her off center. I'm going to have my arm extended to the point where, okay, she can get me, but if she's going to get me, she's going to have to pull my whole body with her face out of this saddle, which is not impossible, but it's highly improbable that she's willing to take that much pressure. She's more likely to shut down when she runs into that weight, and she shuts down. We've been there a couple times and send her back off again. So we call this riding the eye. And again, look how she's already getting off center. You'll only see me bump her if she tries to straighten up. Every time she looks outward, I pull her inward, just like a lunge circle. Center forward again. Good girl. So, notice how I tell you, if a horse surprises you, you didn't ask him the right questions? Isn't this the first horse of the day to fail first grade and not be able to simply walk a circle around us with this bend right here? Well, don't you see how that directly correlates to under saddle? That this horse wants to give or go. She can either give her face or she can move her feet, but she's having a heck of a time just letting go of that resistance there. Anytime that I add any juice or press the gas pedal at all, she wants to look outward, she wants to look straight, the opposite of where I'm asking her to go. So just like desensitizing a horse, when you want to desensitize a horse, you spook them again, you shut them down. You spook them again, you shut them down. Then when you're doing it in motion, you spook them and ask them to bend. Spook them and asking it. Well, that's how we're going to unlock the brakes, and that's how we're going to install the steering wheel. This right side was her stiff side on the start of the ride. She's softened up here. She's softened up here, and look how freely her feet are moving to this side compared to the other side. But look, when she runs into my line, she doesn't want to run into my line. Good girl. So remember, this was the side she's really throwing her head and being wonky to. Oftentimes, they're left-handed or right-handed. Whichever side they're not, their hard side will flip-flop within 1 day of a clinic, 2 days ago, because that's the side that they're getting the repercussion to, because they're fussing to that side. So in her case, both from the ground and in the saddle, she really threw her head hard to ultimately find all that pressure and end up giving anyway. Now, if she was as soft as she is to her bad side on her good side, that would be passing enough to go somewhere, cover some ground. Really, for power of the circle to work, you have to have their face and butt, and then you have to be able to move their shoulders. She's not soft enough in the face to move her shoulders, because when you try to take her to her shoulders, she gets stuck and it shuts her down. As she softens up like she did to the right there on both sides, she'll be so soft that now you can start taking that rein off and she's just gonna guide there. By the time you've had that, we've had so many horses come through that they've been through 3, 4 trainers, 5 trainers, and they're just broncs and they can't get the bronkiness out. They can't get that, the day's a little windy, the other horses are around, whatever reason, it just pops up.
Yeah, you're referring to the brake thing, and that makes more sense that she was just locked up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. She's just locked up. And the steering wheel, a sticky head makes for sticky feet. Whenever I get, so say I do a colt starting competition, you have one day, three well-known horse trainers have one day to get a horse that doesn't lead to riding. Well, occasionally you're gonna get that chestnut mare who doesn't wanna move. A lot of those guys are flagging and trying to show the horse. A wild Mustang moves if you come up behind it. It doesn't show me anything. When that horse doesn't want to move, I get a mare like this. I spend my whole first session, second session, left, right, face, butt, left, right, face, butt, left, right, face, butt. They go forward, I don't mess with them. I give them freedom. Just like that circle there to the right, she didn't touch my hand and she didn't shut down on her own, so I didn't touch her. Nor did I keep going around until she got just gassed and wore out either. I didn't ride the tryout. You get that face and that butt soft, you'll free up their feet. So we're gonna come in, and really what I wanna see out of this session is this left side a little bit better. See how even at the walk, she kind of wants to drift, her eyes want to drift to the right. Good girl. So you see her moving out flat like this? She gives up that left a little bit more. She's gonna be ready to go somewhere. Look how ridiculously obvious I'm being with my steering, where the hand draws out way away from her face where she can see it in her eye. So you just kind of see that willy-nilly just trotting around, not really caring where she's going. She doesn't have enough control of her shoulders for me to really guide her in power of the circle, but her feet are freed up, and I kind of want to reward that by getting out of her way. So I'm letting her move around. Whenever I want her eye in a certain direction, I'll hold this hand way out to the side where she can see that eye, so she knows which way I'm going to call her. Nothing catches her by surprise. And if we can do that, she's going to feel like we're being more and more honest with her. And it's not that you weren't honest with her, it's just that you felt like you have to defend yourself. So a lot of times when we're defending ourselves versus trying to give them crystal clear communication, we're pressing a lot of buttons at the same time, which shuts them down even more. Then you have a horse like this that you're worried about bucking, so you teach her, she has a pretty good stop on her. Then you show her how to stop and intimidate her more in the face by stopping her. Now she's really torn. I don't want to do any real stopping with her until she's willing and ready to go. But notice how freely her feet are moving. Good girl. Oh. No, can't stop on that. Oh. Good girl. Oh. Love little kid stirrups. They're awesome. Good girl. Any questions, young lady?
No, I'm tickle pink. She didn't blow up, and you put a lot of pressure on, so that
Well,
was my pathway.
in all fairness, she didn't have a lot of opportunity. So I get that. Oh, well, she didn't pop with you, but notice how we were always one step ahead of her.
Yeah.
Well, that comes from getting popped with so many times. You figure out, okay, you know, you learn to cut the red one instead of the blue one.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the crop. Helped a lot. Could you do it without the crop? Absolutely. But it just take you longer. So every tool, every aid that we can use that can clarify. We say quicken. The word is quicker. But quicker, my whole life, quick and horse training didn't go together. Quick was the opposite. They would say, be patient, be patient. But if you're doing session after session and you're not seeing improvement, there is not clarity. There's a lack of respect or a lack of clarity, one of the two. Because if that horse respects you enough to hang off of your every word, and then the words leaving your mouth are very clear, well, then you're going to see a change. You're going to see an adjustment. So if you're not seeing an adjustment, either your words aren't very clear, or the horse could care less and isn't paying attention. So being willing and able to make those small adjustments, the way we wrapped the rope around her butt, or picked up that crop, or changed the place that we had the reins on her, or changed the exercises that we were doing with her, all those little adjustments adds up to doing things quickly because it's clear. The first time we saw that, we asked her to lunge around us and she was just nose up, didn't care what we did. Make an adjustment. Now there's a lot of folks who one way, one style, and everybody has to fit in this round hole, even if you're a square peg, even if you're a triangle, it just doesn't matter. We got to do it this way. Those folks find frustration in failure and the horse taking a long time to figure it out if they do succeed. So your willingness to make adjustments for the horse to say, oh, okay, that's really going to speed up your progress.